Gridiron Warrior podcast is built for strength and football coaches who want to run the best possible programs for their athletes and their communities. Each episode delivers simple, practical coaching advice that transfers straight from the weight room to the field. No theory, no fluff, no fancy words, just real world strategies from coaches that are living it. So you can build stronger, faster, more durable athletes at any level. From the beginning, I've committed to only bringing on sponsors that I myself use and would confidently recommend to any coach. And that's why I'm fired up to partner with Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the platform I use to write programs, run my own training, and deliver workouts to athletes and whole teams. It's clean, it's coach friendly, and your athletes are actually going to go in the app and use it and enjoy it, compared to some of the other ones that are out there. If you're a strength coach looking for a better way to program and get that information to your athletes, or if you're a coach and you just want, plug and play, ready to go training programs that you don't have to build, Train Heroic is it, okay? And here's the kicker for anyone that is a supporter of the Gridiron Warrior. Start a free 90-day trial of Train Heroic using the link, trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, and I'll drop 2 12-week training programs right into your account so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can start with 2 12-week programs built in there, tweak them, change them, customize them, and get a good feel of using the app. And those will be in there for you, so you can use those. So head to www.trainheroic.com/Gridiron Warrior, start your 90-day free trial, and reply to your welcome email saying that you want those 2 12-week training programs from me, and I'll make sure you get those. If you're a high school coach trying to bring structure and feedback to your jump and speed training, you need to check out the Plyomat. The switch mat technology is precise, durable, and it's far more reliable than those laser-based systems. More importantly, the feedback is instant. Your jump height, your contact time, RSI, it's all shown on the remote, the controller, and it's logged in their app as well. You can use it every single day as a checkpoint. Are your athletes hitting plyo numbers or thresholds? We use it in season to gauge readiness. You can check their ground reaction force and see if their springs are there as well. It's something that you'll bring out and use every single day in the weight room. If you follow Rich Burnett, the founder, you already know that the education piece is big too. He's a high school guy at heart, and so is the company. So, Plyomat is there to provide everything that we talk about in Gridiron Warrior, actionable results, real service, great customer service, and they're trying to bring jump training to the next level. So happy to support them. Check out the Plyomat. All right, today on the podcast, I have Coach Bryan Kegans, the director. What is your official title? Football strength conditioning? Do you have a performance title? The title is important. We learned that from Nick DeMarco in his book.
Head strength and conditioning coach for football.
Head strength and conditioning coach in the state. And Coach, you've been everywhere. My audience loves when I get out of New England because I do too much in New England. So we're going to the South Side. We're getting Texas today. Pride of Denton. You and Kyle Keese, the two people in Texas that I'm like, oh man, I got to steal more stuff from you guys. Stealing stuff from you for a long time. I know you probably stolen maybe 1 or 2 things from me. If you did, that's pretty cool. Put that on the resume. But Coach, give us your story. How'd you get there? And what do the people need to know?
It's a wild story. It's a fun one to tell, and I'll kind of get through it as quick as I can. But I played at Texas Tech. Coach Morrison and I played together. Not like we weren't like best buds or anything like that. We just, how it is in coaching, you keep up with everybody. But coming out of it, I just wanted to coach football, and the kinesiology degree was kind of looked at as a joke. And it was the PE degree, and you'll never find it. You'll never teach PE. And so I majored in Spanish because that's what I was going to teach. And lo and behold, come out having learned about strength and conditioning. I was like, this is an amazing job. And Benny Wiley was my strength coach in college. And so I came out wanting to do it, but I had the wrong degree. And so I took a job, Crown Over Middle School, and then Texas in 2006. From there, knew that I did not want to be coaching middle school kids. Then take an offensive line job at Den Geyer and wouldn't start coaching there. And then the very next year, our DC left, the strength coach became the DC, and I also had this opportunity to go be a GA at Arizona, coaching offensive line, and I just told the head coach, John Walson, I was like, I don't want anything to do with Arizona if you'll let me just be the strength coach. And he's like, you got it, and turned it all over to me. I'm not knowing anything, and like anybody else, I just started what I knew, what I did in college, and I knew I had to get educated. So went to the AT Still, and the director there, or the head guy there, kind of running the program, was Dr. Matt Ray, and put a lot of really interesting research in front of us. So I started studying and building and doing anything under the sun I could to get noticed. I knew I wanted to do it at the college level. We had some successful years ago. I won a state championship. And finally, I got a call from Benny Wiley. He's like, next spot in Texas, you're in. And I was like, I don't believe you. And so the next year, sure enough, on my wife and I's anniversary, we were walking around a mall, and I get a text from Benny. He's like, can you come to Austin? I'm like, oh my God. I get there just in time for Mac Brown to step down. So that lasted 6 months. Went back to Denton, coaching D-line. Because by this time, Kyle had taken over. And so I really didn't want to step on his toes at all. And he had been there to support me through those other years. So my mission was to support him. And, I really loved it, but I wanted to get back into strength conditioning. So took a job in Houston. We opened up another high school with a friend of mine. So I was assistant head coach and coaching O-line and mainly just doing the strength coach piece. So 2 years back at Denton, 2 years in Houston. Benny calls again. He's like, got some stuff coming up. You in or out? I'm like, I'm in. Turned out, going to Oklahoma. And then that's when everything changed. So I went from coaching JV football in Houston, small, it was small time then. It's a big school now, to Kyler Murray and the best offense in the country, and just things I wouldn't even be able to test. But all along, it's like, I need to know if this stuff works, if I can do it at that level. And he said, you're going to program the strength, the speed, all of it. It's going to be your program as far as like what we do strength-wise, speed-wise, and things like that. And sure enough, the lessons learned there. So I always looked at it as, I'm here and I'm going to learn how to do this job and sit in that seat. I did 4 years. I was really happy there until we came up here to Stillwater one night in November. Played a game, lost the game, woke up the next morning, got a phone call. Benny said, be prepared. You're going to probably need to make a decision today. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking we're going to LSU. Easy, no problem. We'll go win a national championship there. That'll be great. Get a screenshot, text message. Lincoln Riley takes USC job. That hits a little bit different. And, but by this time in it, my wife and I both knew, like, you've come too far to turn back on this now. So we bit the bullet, moved to LA, and we ended up playing Washington State. And the offensive coordinator at the time is Eric Morris. We kind of reconnect. He gets the UNT job. I text him, and I'm like, I'm the guy, and he wrote back, and it worked out. And the one thing led to another. Ended up back in Denton. And so 3 years in Denton. And then turns out that all that moving around just to end up back here at Oklahoma State, where the first domino fell in first place. So it's a fun story. It's an interesting story, but grateful to be anywhere else.
Now, I usually save this question towards the end. I think now is the right time to ask it. What the journey, right? There's highs, there's difficulties, but you've stuck with it the entire way. What is it that you love about strength conditioning and football in particular? What is it that you love about this that keeps you in it and keeps you going and keeps taking this wild ride of all the places you've been and whatever challenges you've had? There's got to be a reason why you love it so much. So what is it?
First and foremost, it's a calling. It's not what I coach. If you fired me today and I'm coaching, I always heard this one person say, like, preachers preaching, coaches coach, and I can't help it. I'm going to coach. And so that's one. And I also have this drive. I don't know what it is, or I want to be able to do it at the highest level. Something is always said, this is what you're supposed to do, go do it. So there's a strong motivation there. And then I have the support, so it's always been able to work out well with the family. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive wife. She's been ride or die since the beginning. And we just kind of started, we left Texas, we were pretty down and out about all of it. We won a state championship at Geyer. We came into this situation that didn't feel entirely healthy. Uh, I had an opportunity to go to Washington State. I turned it down, and I immediately like felt like I chickened out or cowered out, from it. And so we started kind of looking at life like an adventure instead of this goal like we got to stay in the same place. And that every new thing brings a new experience, a new adventure. So when we're old, we got really awesome stories to tell, and that narrative has helped us a lot. It doesn't make it any easier. This move has been probably one of the toughest moves we've had. This is the dream. This is the job. This is everything I've been chasing this whole time. But at the same time, it becomes at a cost, and that's always a teaching point with the guys too. Is you're going to chase the league, but with the league comes scars, and nobody gets out of this thing without getting damaged a little bit.
I tell my wife, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'm not going to be, clanging and banging and re-racking weights and things like that. But I'm going to do this for as long as I can, because if I can't coach this, I'm going to go coach something else. And I'll save that, I'll coach the easier thing later on, But right now, this is the problems at this level in college, at the FCS level for us. I love solving these problems. How do you get these kids that are, they're not Power 4. Maybe they came down from Power 4. Maybe they came up from a lower level. How do you get the most out of them and still come together as a team? I love the team aspect as well. That's something that you put me in corporate America. I think I'd go out there and do a great job and sell some stuff, and no doubt. But man, I would, the brotherhood aspect, there's teams, you work with other people, but brotherhood is something you only get in college sports, and football in itself is its own beast. And, you can't get that anywhere else. It's something special.
I agree. I don't know what I'd do without a team. I've been on a football team every year of my life since the seventh grade. So it would be, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to not have football season.
And football, we're not going to the YMCA and playing pickup football. That's the difference between that and basketball and all these other things. You can maybe keep playing some sports after you're done, but once you leave football, that's it. So we found a way to, we're not playing anymore, but we're still involved and still part of that team, and it's pretty special. One thing I've always appreciated about you, Coach, is I've seen it at the higher level when you get to that point, whether it's the pressure and the expectation, but everyone starts to. I see a lot of programs that's all come together. This program looks very similar to that program. This program runs the same 5-day format, and then it becomes a difference of, can you just out recruit, and it's an arms race for equipment and things like that. And you've always done a great job of saying, how can our program be better? What stones have we not flipped over? What wrinkles have we not put in? What things can we, whether it's, my Gridiron Warrior people know about the grid. They know how I incorporate that and blend that into what we do. I mean, you do that better than anybody. Whether it's bringing in things on staff like Gallup training, I think you're one of the people that really made that in the past couple of years a little bit more popular, a little bit more forefront. I don't think people were galloping the way they do now prior to you guys putting that out there and talking about that more. So you've always been on the leading edge in terms of trying to find new wrinkles and trying to get the program better. And that brings us to today's topic, which is something that, some people they hear and they're like, oh, I don't know. It's concept of GOATA. And I think you and I are on similar wavelength. There is value in everything. It comes down to your ability to extract that value. So just get us started a little bit in terms of how you came across this, and a brief introduction of what GOATA is.
Yeah. So I'll give the lead into it. And I think 2020 or 2021, I'm thinking I just finished out this and the long out this course. And I'm thinking like because my goal was to become a speed expert. I saw it as a weakness. It's something I'm going to get good at. And here's this guy talking crap on my videos. And I've always been wanting to be like, if like I said at the beginning, guy, like if there's something wrong, tell me, man, let's talk. Like I want to know, because it just makes me better. And so we get to talking and talking to the GOATA guys and they're like, we got to come in. I'm like, look, like you can't, you're not coming into Oklahoma. You're just going to have to, I'm going to learn it all, and then maybe somewhere down the road. And I said, the one thing we'll keep talking, but you got to stop talking videos. And so we're rolling along, and lo and behold, the creator, the owner guy, Gilly, he like comments on a video, and I pop off and say some stuff about ego and figuring out this stuff. And I was done with it. Let it all go, blocked everybody, would go to everything. So like I'm fully understanding of where it came from, where all this is at. And so, but the one guy that first reached out to me, his name's Cody Wood, still has a great business. And he came, he's a big OU football fan, but he came to a game. He was just holler, I kept hearing my name. And he's just holler from the stands. And he came all the way out to find me. He's like, that's not what we're about. That's not what I'm about. I want to apologize. I shook hands. If you ever need anything, and it meant the world to me, like to be able to stand up, like just eat it. And that just, it means a lot to me. And so I never forgot that piece. And then years go by and, you know, Coach Ojeda and I get connected up and it was this thing with Gallup and changing direction. And this stuff really takes off. The more I do it myself, the more I'm like, the more that I get into this GOATA position that they're talking about, the more, you know, I can bend. I'm starting to feel some things that like, I need to know, you know? And so I just said, screw it, I'm calling. And so I called and we started talking and then you know, with the invention of AI, and then I started thinking in my head, like, what if I just used AI to ask better questions and research? And because my side was, if anybody's ever going to find out that I'm even doing GOATA stuff, then I need to be able to say, they're right. You know, research wise, I need to have backup. I need to know on both sides of it. I can't just say it feels right. And, the further I went down that road, the more I was like, there's so much research out here that says that they're right. I'm not saying that it's like 100%, but there's a lot. And I did the level 1, I did the level 2, and the more I practice it myself, the better I feel. Like I feel better now as a 43-year-old ex-offensive lineman has been than I did when I was 20 and broke down, knees hurt. And like I've been driving back and forth from Stillwater to Texas all the time, and knees usually are killing me, but I out of the car, go to work. I'm not saying I'm a super freak or anything like that. Just, I'm not paying any. And so these things line up, and the more I go, the more I learn. I'm like, God dang, you know? So we get into a lot of those things, but that's kind of how I got into it. And once I see it, and once I've kind of gotten to this spot, like I can't find a way back. I wish every day somebody would tell me that you're wrong in a way that, you know, damn, you know, I didn't see that. You know, now I get it, but man, I can't find it.
And my exposure to it starts with our kids. You know, they see these things on social media and they're looking for extra edges just like we are. And you know, you see a kid come in one day and he's doing rockers or something like that, or he's doing some, you know, he's loading the bow on his free time. He's doing some of these things, and I'm never just immediately going to be like, "What are you doing? That looks." I'm going to ask questions. Why are you doing that? Well, I feel good when I do these. It makes me feel better. Okay, so now it's on me. There's something there, you know, and I think you have the same wavelength. If there's something there, what is that thread, and can we pull that thread? And then the next step is, does it incorporate and fit into what we're doing holistically in our program? You can't just wholesale dump everything you were doing and say everything we were doing prior to this is wrong. You know, there's got to be a way to blend the two. There's a reason you were doing the old stuff in the first place, because it was working.
Yeah. And I think you cannot deny that the numbers that we all chase are fundamentally like they're numbers for a reason. They correlate for a reason. You know, the guys, Nick Benito is a pass rush NFL, signed for a buttload of money last year. He's as GOATA as guys like, and he was weak as, I mean, he was a weight room guy whatsoever, hated the weight room, but he just made elite plays all over the field. I didn't know what I was looking at, but the numbers pop. You know, he went and ran like a 4.48, 4.5, something like that, ridiculous at the combine as a rush and jump, all the stuff that he does, but he was doing it not as strong as everybody else. So the numbers matter, but we all know that, you know, the strength numbers don't always add up to the speed that we wanted to. Now, I'm not saying toss all that out. I'm just saying that there's all these little holes that I'm like, we got to go find them and to be able to explain why this guy who's super strong, but he can't play lick. It hasn't made him any faster. Why not? When this little kid over here who's not strong at all, but plays lights out on the field and he's fast as crap and all the things that happen. And I just can't look at those as an anomaly anymore, if that makes sense.
100%. 100%. Now, I'm not going to get into the injury thing, because the number one thing that, again, you are, Donna, I disagree, is when they post a video on social media and say it's because of this. And injuries are so multifactorial. You can't. But if we are going to get into the GOATA, and we'll pick a thing or two here, things that people maybe have heard of, just floating around. Back chain dominance, inside ankle bone high is probably one, and then load the bow or the corner. Those are all kind of concepts that they may have heard. They probably haven't looked into it too hard. Out of all of those, if you said, hey, just take this one thing, what out of those is like the one thing people need to start going down the rabbit hole and learning more about?
Feet.
Yeah.
I guess let's start with the feet, because you can't deny the research on the feet and the strengthening of the feet. There's one article where the group that does the foot core training and the other group that doesn't, and they run the same amount every day. And the group that did not do the foot core training was 2.5 times more likely to suffer a lower leg injury. And I know I'm looking at, I had this pulled up just in case we want to talk about it, but I know we all talk about like meta-analysis of things and misassociation between lower limb alignment, low back pain, systematic review, meta-analysis, right? And inside of that, you have left feet contribute to locomotion issues, leading to altered gait, misalignment, reduced shock absorption, potentially worsening low back pain. So heel strikes, foot begins to pronate, calcaneus inverts while the talus adducts, and ankle plantar flexes. So what you're saying is inside ankle bone low. So the medial displacement of the talus, which dumps medially and it pulls the tibia in, internally rotates it. And it causes a corresponding medial rotation from the tibia, leads to medial rotation of the femur, which ultimately medial rotation of the femur is going to pull the pelvis down into anterior tilt, and it's going to go to the back. That's inside ankle bone low. You know what I mean? That's the science. That's the meta-analysis talking about it and describing that in detail. But GOATA hasn't described it in that sense. But what they're saying is correct. You need a strong foot that has a arch that creates that support, that dome-like structure, so that the talus doesn't fall medially and it can stay to the outside, so that everything can take on a load and external rotate, if that makes sense.
And it's funny because Cal Dietz will put out spring ankle complex, right? And he's got his whole 5-layer thing there of building your foot. And because he's a college strength coach, or because he's got a book out and triphasic is an established thing, everyone has no problem doing spring ankle complex. But as soon as you call it something else, or as soon as you start talking in a different way, you start to lose people. So it's the same, similar idea, and you're training it in a different fashion. What do some of those foot drills look like, or what are things that you've incorporated or can incorporate to develop that inside ankle bone high position?
So I went down a rabbit hole. I think part of the reason too was my foot started hurting a lot. I was running a lot and foot was killing me. And I have to fix, like, if I can't fix it myself, then I try and fix somebody else. And so I started to do it. The toe curls, we've all been down there. We've all done those things. And it just wasn't working. And so in GOATA, they kept talking about big toe knuckle down, big toe knuckle down. And he was always referencing this foot core structure is the foot dome. And the name of that article is the foot core system, like a new paradigm for understanding intrinsic foot muscle function. And so treating the foot like it's the core, like it's your body, the abs. So you have your intrinsic muscles that originate and attach, and insert inside the foot, and then you have your global mover, your extrinsic, that originate from the lower leg and insert somewhere down the foot. And so all those little intrinsic muscles together are attached all the way down. Like there's 4 or 5 different muscles that are attached at the bottom of the foot into the first tarsal on the foot. So you would believe just the sheer muscular that's attached to the first tarsal, the phalanx, like the big toe. There's so much stuff that's attached to it, but we do toe curls and that knuckle, that first distal phalanx is not even touching the ground. So there's no anchor point for all the core musculature inside the foot to squeeze from. So one of the first exercises that I've got it prescribed a lot in the summertime is called a foot dome. And so it's just taking, if you can imagine, big toe knuckle to little toe, and then a heel back here, it's just trying to create that dome with the foot and really not worried about the toe so much. It's just activating that core of the foot so that they can hold on to it. So an easy translation into squat is, I always tell the guys here now, I want front half of the foot heavy. And as soon as they dump it to the heels, you've gone to that front chain dominance. You've gone to that backwards mechanics and those things that are so touchy of terminology now. But we all know it dang good well that nothing good is happening from our heels. And we want forward locomotion and we want a strong foot because of the caldis. And we know the research is there, but we've kind of not connected the dots between the two. So that short foot exercise and go to slant boards do a really, really good job of giving that that feeling of what the foot should feel like, and when that big toe knuckle comes disconnected, you pretty much fall over. So it helps out a lot.
And it's, again, I'm connecting dots with my own training and things like that. There's a reason why you're seeing a lot more safety bar split squats these days get thrown around in programs, or safety bar movements in general, because it is loading you into the front side, and it's allowing you to keep that position a little bit better. Kids feel better when they do safety bar split squat, even though they might be doing more weight than they would be doing in a traditional method, because they're able to maintain and hold that position starting at the feet a little bit better than what they could traditionally do in a back squat. And quick break. This episode is powered by Endorphin. Endorphin is a performance nutrition company built for high school, college, or professional athletes who take their training seriously. Their patented FinTech bottles right here come preloaded with clean, third-party certified, so NSF, protein. All you have to do is add liquid, add water, add milk, whatever, shake it and go. No blender, no mess, no excuse for not getting your protein in. It's trusted by over 150 college and pro teams because it works in actual training environment, on the road, in the weight room, post-practice. When recovery matters most, Endorphin is there. So if you need a discount, you want team pricing, reach out to me, or check out Endorphin online and tell them that you're interested in team pricing. All right? Now back to the show. Obviously, there's other things that go on when you're doing a safety bar split squat to a back squat, but I think setting them up in the right position allows them to do that. Now, you can get into different positions easier, there's that there. How do you when you bring this to the team, right? And football culture, you may have some high school kids that down that way have probably been training all throughout high school and whatnot, and they may be at a little bit more of a traditional program. How do you take a culture where, the barbell is important, lifting heavy is super important, and then say, hey, we're taking our shoes off and this is important to us. We're focusing on, we're getting barefoot, we're doing ankle rockers, we're doing our foot exercises. That's a very different shift in attitude, mentality, mindset. How do you blend those two concepts together?
You can't win anymore with us. You don't do the rockers right, you're gonna get your ass chewed out. And if you don't put enough weight on the bar and you think that I've given you permission to not lift heavy, you're gonna get your ass chewed out. It's a lose-lose. You're gonna do it right. So what I'm saying is there's no excuse. There's no excuse for crack movement, and there's no excuse for being weak either. And so the demands on these guys has done nothing but go up. I'm not going to allow you to come in anymore and just kind of go through some. I'm not going to let you come in and roll around on a fall pad or a foam roller for a little bit because it makes you feel good. You're going to walk in here. We're going to do something that I can prove. I've put together enough work, enough scientific work, and I post the research. I show the videos. I show them anatomy to say, like, I can tell you all this. So if you want to argue it, then you better bring a case, and you better bring an argument into my office, and we'll talk about it. But until then, trust me, trust the resume. And that's a thing. I guess I'm fortunate to have the resume to be able to do that a little bit. but I knew coming into OSU I had one shot to install this the right way. And it's been a pain in the butt, but this is what you're going to do. And this is why we're going to do it this way. And over time, the guys are like, I do feel better. Now, I'm not saying that nobody's going to get hurt. They're all going to be super athletes, but if you're going to if you can go to the training room, this is not a knock on AT or anything like that, but if you're willing to go in the training room and have, 100 needles put in your ass and leg every day, like, you can try a rocker for a few weeks. You can try this little stretch for a few weeks. It's not that big a stretch if you think about all the things that, we do on a daily basis to get guys going. So selling it from that standpoint, it hasn't been too much. I think maybe early on they wanted to joke about it, but I was like, look, I'm not playing. I'm gonna get after you guys, and we could do it the right way. Or I'll just update. I'll old school you, and I'm perfectly capable of being one. Like a new school, all right, you're right, let's do it. If not, we'll do it this way, because there's just too much. Like, honestly, there's too much money on it for these guys to not be thinking about it this way. They're getting paid, and they need to go play on Saturdays. I need them to play. And they're like, my daughter and my family's livelihood depends on them getting a Saturday at an elite level. I can't be just squatting a crap about it, guys, and get people hurt and then be like, well, I'm strong. It's going to matter. The only thing that matters is winning games. And that's the biggest thing that gets these guys to understand is, like, you got to be all of it now because it's professional football.
I love it. And I love the attitude about it too, because that is how I feel about whatever it is. When when I first brought RPR in, and kids are like, this is a little silly. I was like, this ain't silly. This is the real deal. And if you're not doing it the right way, we're gonna pay the price until you start doing it the right way. Because if I believe it works, I'm not putting in fluff and feel good. I don't have enough time in my week. I got 8 hours. I don't have enough time.
Yeah. I'm not up here playing games. Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that you're also not shying away from the weights. I've had this argument with kids of, they go home for a couple of weeks and all they do is GOATA, and they don't load themselves. And they come back and they say, these GOATA movements made me feel great. I'm like, is it that? Or is it the fact that you unloaded for 3 weeks that made you feel good? I would feel good too if I just doing some movement for 3 weeks.
I'd say this too.
You got to do both. So how do you get both?
And the GOATA stuff, this has been a really long journey for me. The level 2 course is 10 weeks of learning, and you got to go through the 1 first, and then the research and the practice. Go to work the right way is hard. It's really, really hard. It's the most detail oriented stuff I've ever done. And then trying to dumb that down enough to tell the guys, I can't tell you all the stuff that we're trying to do. So they just we come up with simple rules, but for any kid that comes in and I'm doing this stuff, you're probably not doing it right, because the shit's hard. It's really hard to get done, and you'll be sweating your face off if you really do it the right way.
What is one change on the lifting on the weight room side of things where, you're still moving weights, you're still either grabbing a barbell or dumbbells and doing something, but your approach to that exercise is now different? Is it a back squat?
Yeah, the back squat. I switched the back squat to low bar again. I say again, but in high school, that's all we did for powerlifting. So feet 2 fists width apart, and so I was straight feet. So my non-negotiables on squat are low bar and straight feet and 2 fists width apart. And I'm doing that because it allows them to keep their hips back and behind them, and the feet and the pressure on the foot in the front half of the foot. So as they squat, one of the big coaching points is you should feel like you could budge up at any moment. It's perfect, but that is a negotiable of mine. And so I had to pretty much toss quad depth, out the window on that one. But on the back end, if we do RFB or split squat or things like that, I'm like, this is my parallel squat. This is my deep squat. So, so I still crush their souls a little bit on the back end of things, but the squat is such an important piece to do right. That I made that an absolute non-negotiable. And when we do cleans, still do all the Olympic stuff, but when we do cleans, I tell them, I don't want your hips coming out in front of you. I don't want that reverse, arc, like you're doing a backflip. I want you to leave your hips behind you, just a little bit. And we can get into the reasoning for that. And, if you want to, but, those are the 2 probably biggest changes that we've made.
When you're setting numbers for the kids to train off of, whether it's back squat or clean, how do you define, what their now 1 rep max is so that you can program off of that?
We've always done money fits. So typical 3 rep max, 4 rep max, whatever that may be, but it's always built in with the money set. If you have this rep, do it as many times as you can, and then they write it down. And so everything we do is based off an estimation. We haven't done. It's been 3.5 years since I've done like a testing week or worked on our 1 rep max.
Just with the new standards, this is our squat position. And I'm the same way of, not every kid is going to have the same squat depth, but what their depth is for that individual. And I'm never going to, because you ripped your money set, I'm going to bump you up 50 pounds. That's just foolish for me to program like that. So, you have your parameters in place. You still have your standards for what is considered appropriate for that person. But I'm the same way too. We made the shift to more split squats, more true unilateral work, skater squats and pistols and things like that, especially with our skill guys. And we'll crush depth on those. Their back squat, I know I'm going to get it on the back end on something else. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to feel better on the back end pushing those things than they are trying to push a super deep back squat and they're on their heels. And again, they're going backwards, which is not what we're looking to do.
Not at all. And it's just, it compromises them so much. And I guess, I've been doing it long enough, and the human side of me, I think the first years at Oklahoma, and is an athlete, and I was being an ass, get your ass down there and all that. And he went all the way down, and I'm right there spotting him, and he's coming up, and on the way up, he's all he says, "Man, I'm back." He never played a snap, and I'm like, what was the point? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to if they can't do it, me forcing him to do it is pointless. You got to earn. If you're gonna have a deep squat like that, then get your ass. The real work is getting your ass back in here and earning the space for your body to allow to. If it's that important to you, then you coach the kids better and get them in there and get them the choice, the space they need to be able to do that.
And so glad I'm on the same wavelength of you. Is you gotta write a program where the kids can come back the next day and get a little bit better, because you just can't afford to take steps back, especially in this day and age with NIL and money and the expectations on the line. I can't afford to have a kid on the shelf, especially the more valuable they are, they got to be there. But that you also catch-22. You can't be soft about it either, because if they're soft, they're just going to go out there and stink. So you gotta find every inch you can and get better. I don't see enough about this. So this is a question. My own personal question here is, what have you taken out of GOATA for the upper half? Because there's so much time spent on ankle bone high. There's so much time spent on load the bone, back chain, all that. But I don't hear enough about the upper half. So what changes have you made in terms of upper body training?
So this is awesome. Because there's a piece, and I know I was going to mention RPR in the square one piece and link tension relationships, but I'll just kind of go from this standpoint. As the hip extends, SOS, it originates all down that lumbar spine. So it's going to pull it, and it's going to pull it into a lateral bend. And when we pull the spine into a lateral bend, it rotates in the opposite direction of that bend. And so as it rotates into where the pressure is going to go, you have this point of intersection where you have an opposite turn of the upper body, thoracic. And so this wave of energy goes all the way up, but it just loads into. So the same way that your lower body, that leg works. So we say for our hip, the guys all know down, back, and out to up, around, down, back, and in. So as pressure is going in, they know that hip is going down, back, and out, kind of like a 45-degree RDL almost. And simultaneously, the other side hip is also going up, around, and down, back, and in. So you have one that's going like this, and like, well, best way to do it, but like that. But they're twisting against each other. They're providing stability within each other. The upper body up top is essentially doing the same thing, down, back, and out. So the shoulder blades, down, back. If I'm here, down, back. If I take my arm down and I just go down and back at the same time, you can see how that pulls everything down, but I keep rotating back and around. So reach back behind, throw, And the first time I did it is like, well, I'm about to throw my hand out here like that. I'm like, but when you sling your arm forward, where's the most tension? Right here. And so now, right, that's pretty good sense. So I'm externally rotated, and now my shoulder blade is down and back. And then as I go to throw, it goes up, around, down, back, and in. I can reverse that, throw softball. I can come back and around, throw over the top. It's just like it all. That's where I'm like, I don't even care who knows anymore, because when the upper body piece came in, it explained more things to me that even the gout thing and everything else could not do, because there's always this little piece of like, coach, what do I do with my hands? You know what? I don't know. But now it's like, I do know. You know, it makes perfect sense with what, because it lines everything up from dot to dot to dot. So this is the first time in my life I've been able to do it. When we start training, you know, there's a reason and a purpose, and it can explain it. So from the warm up to the lift to the run to whatever we're doing outside, if somebody were to ask, how does this connect to the game? It becomes a simple answer, because it all is arising from the exact same structure. So I know that was probably massively confusing, but just simple enough. When I go to throw, open it up, externally rotate, either go throw, releases. So when the arms in front, palms away, hands behind, externally rotated here. When we go to row, so if we're doing like a dumbbell row, it's start palm away and we row it. So we try to build rotation into everything we do, as much as possible without ruining the main lift. So that's why I bought, like when I first got here, I bought $50,000 worth of fat bells from Row. So every rack has a set of 30 up to 80 pound fat bells, so we can get really nice rotation with it.
And there's the group out there, the landmine crew out there that have their whole system and things like that. And there's a reason why it resonates with people, because it just feels like it's connecting the dots. And we've done over the years, you know, I used to be a lot more Olympic rep heavy and jerks and things like that. We switched way more to unilateral movements there. Football is a bench press thing. It's a culture thing. I can't get rid of the bench press. That's something that if I ever got rid of the bench press, there'd be a mutiny. We need to keep that in there. But once we get done with the bench press, you're going to see so much more unilateral upper body. Unless it's, you know, maybe a hypertrophy case and we really got to try and put on some muscle mass. We got to hit both sides at the same time. But the transfer on unilateral stuff is so much more valuable. I think some people just get caught up in doing bilateral movements all day, upper half wise. And especially your upper half does not move bilateral very well at all.
Yeah. And if you can connect the two pieces and put them in a really fundamentally great position on the lower half while you're doing the upper half, like you're doing a truly like systems integrated a strength. And that, I mean, we always hear that comment, you know, how do you can't fire a can out of a canoe. Like, who gives a crap about your 300 bench press if you walk around like a duck all day long? It's never going to translate to the field. You know, you might be good at a couple of things, but you're going to get out athleted pretty quick. There's some point or the other.
And that's been the philosophy and the cornerstone on my whole Gridiron Warrior system is, you know, I had too many of those kids that were weight room warriors that were so good at those things that never played a lick of football. And it's like, what are the things that are going to help you be a better football player? And why are you not doing them? And why are you afraid to start putting those into your program? What's the worst that happens? It's not like it's going to crush you. Like, these things are only going to help you, or no change at all. And it just comes down to whether or not you're better at your sport. But that's something you got to handle on your own. So this has been great. We could probably do a part 2, a part 3, a part 4. Maybe we will someday. Maybe we'll do a deeper dive. But if people want to follow along, right, if they're going to watch some summer training videos, if you guys are going to get those out, or if the school's going to put some stuff together, where can we follow along? Where can we, obviously we can go to the GOATA stuff and go on their site and learn more about that if we want to go right to the source, but how do we watch you guys do it in action?
I'm sure there'll be some videos that come out. I've kind of not,
that's the nice thing now. You don't have to worry about it so much. You have the media group come in. A small guy.
I had to put some in, but you know, my time when we left Oklahoma, and Coach Riley took that job, it was like everything I posted there was so much hate from it was like we ruined the program. I have 3 Big 12 championship rings. How did we ruin the program? And it's just it really took a toll on my want to share. And so I kind of got back into it, sharing all the movement stuff. I was going crazy with it. And then the same thing came back, but it was from my own community. You know, I've always tried to just, all I ever want to do is share and have a conversation. And it's like, you bring hate to me. Like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. And that's exactly what happened. And it accuses me like, you don't, like I don't know how to read. And stuff like, I'm done. So when I came here, I just like, I'm not gonna. And then we did a couple of videos, and that was probably my biggest share the other day. Posting a video of myself doing GOATA, and I was like, there it is. You know, this is put it out there. When I posted my certificate, I was very nervous about it too, but you know, stand on it and believe in it. You know, learning new things and putting yourself out there. It's not comfortable, but it's the only, we don't talk about getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, and learning and growth and all this stuff. But, you know, when it comes time to do it, it's not a fun thing.
You know, it is, it really is. I don't know, like, are there tax accountants out there that post information and other tax accountants rip them apart? I don't think so.
No.
It's just for some reason, everyone's an expert. Maybe it's because everyone goes to Planet Fitness and they work out and they think they've got the answers. But, you know, if I could say anything, maybe for us out there that do get a lot out of what you put out there, don't be afraid to continue to share, or we'll just reach out to you directly.
Just, yeah, definitely. Reach out to my IG, at Kegans. I mean, I might miss it for a time, but I promise I'm not doing that on purpose. I take it serious. I really want to share. I really want to grow. I want to hear other people's opinions. I want to have those discussions. That's the biggest thing I want to be able to do, is to have somebody else to talk about. Like everything we talk about, GOATA stuff, all the anatomy, change direction. Yeah, I love the community. I want the discussion. I want people to reach out, and because I want to teach, I want to coach, I want to help, I want to learn, all those things. And if it can't happen within our own community, I don't know why it would. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I know I'm going to reach out to you because my gears are spinning. This has been great. You know, I've got the mindset of I can always get better. I can always learn more. And there's smart people out there are putting it together, and I got to try and follow along. I got to try and keep up. So, Coach, this has been great. I appreciate you jumping on the Gridiron Warrior podcast. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in and listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to keep getting better, I encourage you to check out my new community, the Gridiron Warrior Insiders. Got it right here on the phone. The app is clutch. There's so many things in there that I think you'll find valuable. We have the weekly film study where you can go live with me, ask any questions you want. There's no Q&A, no big deal. I always have a topic that we're going to hit on every single week, and we record those too if you can't make it. We have the Wildcat webinar. That's where I call somebody else in to run the offense, and they come in and they bring a presentation about something that they're an expert in and give us some fresh insight, new information. I have unreleased podcasts. There's about 10 or 15 that haven't gone live yet. You can listen to them early before anyone else. We have the equipment room, so discounts, whether it's Train Heroic, Plyomat, OVR, or even my own courses. You have discounts in the equipment room. Okay, the free safety, anything that I want to throw in there, bonus programs for yourself as a coach, you name it, it's in there. And we have over 50 coaches right now that are helping each other. So we post questions and coaches will work together and provide insight and share information, because that's what it's all about, is coaches getting better. So if you want to check that out, the links are in my bio, the links at the end of this podcast. Check it out there, Gridiron Warrior Insiders.